So, step 4, listing your work history. This is the heart of all resumes, which is making a list of any work that you've done or jobs that you've held, including jobs that you've created for yourself. It's important to list your most recent work first and then your earlier work last, and include the dates of the work or employment, your job titles, and your employers. So, something to point out here: for every resume and for every job line that you always have your date. You always have the position filled that you had. So in this case, it's counter sales, and then the place in which you worked. Okay. Now, something that's really important to notice is even if we have childcare written here, this could be babysitting. But instead of saying babysitting, we're changing the language a little bit to refer to childcare. Also, another thing I wanted to show you here is this idea of yard work and repair, and also this idea of being self-employed. So it's important to really think about, even if we are doing subtle, little acts of labor for family or for friends, those are things that we can also really consider putting on our resume. So instead of saying pulling weeds for grandma, we could say something like yard work and repair. Okay, so then that way we're really kind of being considerate and choiceful with the language in which we use to then be able to put that job on our resume. Okay, now something also to think of is this idea of including all work experience, even if it was short term or unpaid. Now, something I want to kind of bring up, since many of us maybe don't have many jobs that we've held, or maybe we haven't been old enough to hold a job, that's okay. When we look at short-term work or unpaid work, we can also consider things that we've done for the people around us. So, for example, if a teacher has ever asked you to make photocopies or deliver something to the office, instead of thinking of that work as just helping your teacher, think about it more as being a teaching assistant. Okay. So in that way you can include that work on your resume, and as the job, you would say teaching assistant. So including all jobs, even if they're not related to your current objective, because it's important to, if we don't have a lot, it's still important to have the things that we've done. That way we can really paint that picture of who you are. You also want to include any job that you've done for your parents or relatives as the employer, and even if you didn't get paid to do that work. So even if you're running errands, or if you're doing dishes or cooking for your family, you want to make sure that you put those down on your resume, and then you can add that and have your employer be your parent business or your parent guardian. And then last but not least, you want to include all work, even odd jobs that you've done on your own as an entrepreneur, and list yourself as the employer. So in this case, you would be a self-employed individual. Okay. So as we notice here, for this yard work repair, this could be mowing grass, but even if you're mowing maybe your neighbor's grass, you're self-employed and you are your own employer. Now, when we get down here, this is where the work comes in. So you want to make sure that you have the year in which that you held the job. So you don't necessarily have to put necessarily months, but you want to make sure that you have the year in which you did the work, or if you just got a new job, say working at the library, you would put the month in which you started and then to present. So in this case, we could say October 12th to present. And then for the position, we could say shelver or bookshelver. And then for the company name, maybe Cincinnati Public Library. And the city would be Cincinnati, Ohio. Now it's important that we list all this work in red here, because we're going to have to find this again later, and by highlighting it and making it all in red, it'll be easier for us to find so we can copy and paste it. Now it's important that you fill in all 4 of these boxes. Even if you haven't held a job, it's important to think of at least 4 work-related experiences that we may have to add to our resume. And that way we can really build on those in order to make our resume really stand out and show that we've gained a lot of experience and skill from that position or from that work that we've done.